Bulls Nation, over the course of many days on this YouTube channel, we've been discussing Chicago Bulls players, their future on the team, whether or not they deserve second chances or not. And that is going to continue as we discuss further of some of the Chicago Bulls players. And in today's video specifically, we're going to be talking about a controversial player, a player that many people do not trust in anymore, and a player that has had a second chance in this season. But the question is, did he make the most of that second chance opportunity? And for many people, that's an up and down question, but most people would probably say no to that answer. But again, let's talk about this player. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, his name is Denzel Valentine. Without further ado, let's get into this video right now. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. Today, we've got a Chicago Bulls related video, and this one is leaning towards another one of our Chicago Bulls players, a player that did play a lot of the season this year, had his second chance opportunity, and overall is questionable if he was able to capitalize on that second chance opportunity. And of course, I'm talking about Denzel Valentine, what I think his future could be in the NBA, whether or not it's with the Chicago Bulls or if there's any other team that could potentially be interested in Denzel Valentine. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about Denzel Valentine. Overall, I know the type of player that he is, and I actually know he's not really necessarily a fan favorite for the Chicago Bulls. And in the end, that's going to reflect in the comments. It's also going to reflect on a lot of things. But there's ups and downs with Denzel Valentine, as there is with any other player in this league. And we're going to be talking a lot about that in this video and overall the future of Denzel Valentine. First things first with Denzel Valentine, I think it's safe to say, and the positive thing to say, is that this is the very first season that Denzel Valentine had a consistent run of games and pretty much a full season healthy. He only missed 10 games of the season this year, and that's been a big progression for what we've seen over the course of many years with Denzel Valentine. He's not been injured. He's not been injured this year, when he's been injured a lot of times throughout the course of many years. So that is a very positive thing, and I want to say congratulations to Denzel Valentine for being able to withstand the season and become a healthier player because of that. And hopefully that'll give him momentum, whether it's with the Bulls or any other team, to keep on going, and hopefully he can remain healthy throughout the course of his career. I don't wish injury, I don't wish health concerns on any player, on anybody. And that's something that, at the end of the day, that's something Denzel Valentine has experienced, and you never like to see it. And no matter how good or how bad a player is, I always want a player to remain healthy. I always want a player to try and be their best version of themselves. And that is something that Denzel Valentine is slowly trying to target. And that's a good thing. Denzel Valentine's stats is 6.5 points per game, 3.2 rebounds, 1.7 assists, shooting 37% from the field goal percentage and 33% from three. He also had a very good 94% free throw percentage as well. Now, I've made a video very similar into the video you're going to be listening to now, but obviously towards off-season, towards the second chance opportunity that Denzel Valentine may or may not be given, I feel like it's also important to mention a player like Denzel Valentine in this video as well. And that's why it's going to be a very interesting video. Now, of course, this season has been a very up and down season for Denzel Valentine. He has stints in this season where he's been very solid, very productive, and again, he's earned his minutes. There have been other times where he simply could not get a game, and then he's ended up wasting his opportunities, wasting his minutes, hence the reason he doesn't get a lot of game time. And that especially happened towards the second half of the season. So Denzel Valentine's been a very up and down player. Last season, or right before the beginning of this season, the Chicago Bulls wanted to give Denzel Valentine a chance. And in doing that, Denzel Valentine signed a 1-year, $4 million contract, but most importantly, there was no trade clause in his contract. That means that Denzel Valentine could not get traded from the Chicago Bulls this season. So many people that wanted to make trades in the trade deadline, unfortunately, if any of those involved Denzel Valentine, we probably could not have done it. And that is something that is very frustrating at the end of the day, but it happens. There's no trade clause. Denzel Valentine could not have gotten traded from the Chicago Bulls. And overall, this gave Denzel Valentine that free opportunity with no stress, no thoughts in the back of his mind that his season could click and end in an instant like some other players. And in the end, that gave Denzel Valentine the absolute best opportunity and the best experimental season that he could ask for. But the question is, did he live up to those expectations? Well, We talked about the positives with Denzel Valentine. We talked about how he managed to remain healthy. He had a full healthy year, missed the start of the season, didn't miss the end or the middle of the season. Very consistent in terms of his game, in terms of how many games he was playing. That's a positive. The positives also are there was a stint in the season towards the beginning and the middle of the season where he was consistent, and that's obviously something you need to take away from that season as well. But unfortunately, this negative is also the consistency side of his game. Because again, having 4 weeks of consistency is great. But if you're not being able to be consistent at the course of the season through its entirety, that's a struggle. That's a lack of trust in the player. That's a player that we cannot rely on constantly. And unfortunately, Denzel Valentine falls into that category. And again, a lot of our players fall into that category. But Denzel Valentine was someone that, again, had very questionable game time. One game he's playing 12 to 15 minutes. Another game he's playing 0 minutes. You need to be ready at all times. And I don't think Denzel Valentine was ready all times. I think there were some times where he just wasn't in it. His heart wasn't in it, or maybe his mind wasn't in it, or he just wasn't feeling up to the level of the game, and he ended up having inconsistent performances, and that's something you can't trust. And a lot of people now are starting to question Denzel Valentine's IQ in terms of the game, and we've seen it through the course of the season. There have been some moments where Denzel Valentine has showed lack of awareness, lack of IQ, specifically the last shot, the Miami Heat, in a very important game, a game that if we had won, and I don't remember the score of that game, but I do believe we lost that game, if Denzel Valentine didn't take that long 3-point shot, then we might have had a better look, and we could have ended up changing that reflection of that game, and maybe we'd be in a different situation right now. But Denzel Valentine missed that shot. We lose that game. Overall, Denzel Valentine, I'm not saying he's the main reason we are not in the playing tournament or in the playoffs, but that's a key contributor. Moments like that where we need to take a step up. We need to upgrade in terms of how we play. We need to not make these decisions, these stupid decisions that a young team would. A young team would make a decision like this, and it'd be an inexperienced choice, and it's a stupid choice, and it costs you in the end. But a team that has experience on their side now, a team that should be well adept into learning in the fourth quarter what to do in scenarios, those things cannot happen to a team that's trying to become a winning team, trying to take the next step in their progression and try to become a playoff team. Those things cannot happen. And when those things happen, unfortunately, that IQ begins to be questioned. Obviously, the OKC Thunder game at overtime as well, standing in the way of Zach LaVine, who was ready to take a 3-point shot to try and maybe get us to double overtime or even win the game. That was obviously an IQ brain fart from Denzel Valentine as well. But again, in terms of the IQ of the game, I feel like it's unfortunate that he's being targeted out for this, because I don't think he's a dumb player. But again, when you make decisions like that backfire against you, IQ deserves to be questioned. And that's unfortunately Denzel Valentine's own fault. I don't think he's a dumb player. I don't think he's not intelligent. I actually think he's one of the more intelligent players. Unfortunately, it just didn't end up working that way this season. And again, that begs the question now, with all of those things being said, did Denzel Valentine earn his season minutes next year? Do the Chicago Bulls continue to go with Denzel Valentine riding that bench, playing minutes, getting some game time, hitting some shots at times, becoming a little bit inconsistent? I think the answer is no. And again, I will try my best to be respectful towards these players, because again, this is their livelihood that I'm talking about at the end of the day. I don't mean to step on anybody's toes. I don't mean to be an aggressive type of person. I'm not going to go out and say any player in the NBA is trash. I have a lot of respect for these players. But Denzel Valentine, unfortunately for me, is someone that I just don't see that fits the Chicago Bulls anymore. I think we need a player that is very versatile, and Denzel Valentine is versatile on the offensive end, but I don't think he's versatile enough defensively. And that's the first thing that we need to discuss. We need to be a team that's much improved defensively. Denzel Valentine tries very hard defensively. He has gotten times, I believe he's one of our league leaders or team leaders in steals. And again, those things matter. But unfortunately, the actual part of the game on the defensive side is something that Denzel Valentine has lacked and continues to lack. And that is something that needs to change. And unfortunately, we need to have players that are two-way players. We're not good enough of a team to rely on a superstar or rely on superstars like Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic and not play defense. Like, other teams in the NBA. We can't rely on 2 players alone. We need to be a solid defensive team while allowing our offense to become what we're known for. But we have to be solid defensively as well. I don't think Denzel Valentine suits that, and I think there are better players out there that need an opportunity to come to this team and bring that side of the game. But also, Denzel Valentine's had a lot of opportunities. He's had a lot of years on this team. And from someone that was a fan favorite of Denzel Valentine coming in, I believe he was from Michigan. And again, I don't know much about college basketball, but I know Michigan players are very tough players, very gritty type of players. Denzel Valentine, unfortunately, with a lot of time on this team, I don't think he's proven himself enough to be a player for the Chicago Bulls. And again, that's all I'm really going to say. I'm going to try and be as respectful as possible. If Denzel Valentine does remain on this team, I would be a little bit surprised. I think that the experiment has come and gone. I don't think he's proven enough. But again, anything can happen, and if we don't get any of our priority targets, Denzel Valentine may be someone we can rely on to come back. But again, I just think it's a little bit too little too late. I don't think there's enough in terms of the progression left for Denzel Valentine, and I don't think he's someone we should pursue long term. But he loves the Chicago Bulls, and I respect players that love the Chicago Bulls, and I hope that wherever he is, whether it is with Chicago, whether it is with any other team in the NBA, whether it's a European team, whether it's anything he decides to do, I believe he also has some songs that he does. And I haven't listened to any of them personally, but whatever he decides to do, I hope he's successful. Because again, in many ways, he's a fan just like you guys. He plays for this team, but he's a fan of this team. And that is very important to me as well. Players that love this team and players that really show how much they love this team. But where does his career lie in terms of the NBA now? Well, there are a few teams, in my opinion, that does suit Denzel Valentine. Again, he's not a wasteful player. I do think there's qualities to him that teams could be interested in. For example, I think a team that could potentially be a contending team might use Denzel Valentine as an injury replacement type player. Maybe he could be a bench player for any team in the NBA now. Again, I'm not really sure. I don't know how many people are linked to Denzel Valentine, but again, a team like the Warriors, in my opinion, might actually use Denzel Valentine fairly well. And I think that could be a good fit for him, obviously, with the three-point oriented game that they play over there and the ball movement. Maybe the San Antonio Spurs could bring him off the bench, something like that. But again, I just don't really know what to say in terms of who's interested in Denzel Valentine right now, so I haven't heard a lot about it. But again, there are NBA teams that he might be able to suit. I just don't think the Chicago Bulls are that team to suit Denzel Valentine. And now, that is going to be the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. In the end, I would love to make positive videos left, right, and center every single day until I no longer make YouTube videos. And that hopefully that's years and years and years down the line. But unfortunately, I don't want to hide from the reality. Some players on this team, unfortunately, have not earned another opportunity to play on this team. We need to be a ruthless team. We want to take the next step. We want to be taking the next level in the NBA and in our own personal players and players on this team. We want them to take the next step. We want us to take the next step. We want to be a successful team. And in terms of that, you have to make these types of videos. You have to make these videos that you don't want to make. You have to be sometimes negative towards some of these players because unfortunately, it's a ruthless business here. If it's fine margins between a playoff team, a championship team, and a team that's all the way down on the bottom. And we're kind of in between right now. So we need to take that next step. And unfortunately, you need to be ruthless to do that. So again, that's why I made this video. And that's why there will be some other players on this team that I speak about that might suffer the same fate as Denzel Valentine did for me today. And again, I'm sure he doesn't care what I have to say. And that actually makes me feel a little bit better because I don't necessarily want hate. But yeah. That's going to be the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Have a wonderful and safe day. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Take care and peace.